frustration over Saskatchewan's wildfire response, what residents of Denare Beach say could have saved their homes. Turmoil at Metis Nation, Saskatchewan, why two regional directors are at odds with leadership. And a major Saskatchewan employer celebrates a milestone.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. Residents of Denare Beach are frustrated with the response leading up to and during the evacuation and wildfire that burned the majority of their community. John Flatters is in Denare Beach tonight and spoke to people who are looking for answers from the province.
As neighbors hug and try to make sense of the destruction left in their community by the Wildfire, the mayor of Denare Beach looks for a bright spot.
The water plant and the sewer plant are functioning. If they weren't functioning, that alone would probably take 3 to 4 years to get rolling.
He says unofficial estimates put the number of properties destroyed in the 300 range. Residents stayed behind to try and help the dozen or so local firefighters who found themselves shorthanded when the fire shifted.
I know that Denare could have fared much better had there been more sprinklers and fire teams available. I'm not saying that it would have been saved completely, but the losses could have been minimized or much less. Had we had the help from the SPSA and the government.
Those who evacuated say there was confusion and delays around available supports, leaving many without any idea where to go for help.
I'm told that there's help to help me out a little bit, and it's helped other people, but, you know, too little, too late.
NDP MLA Jordan McPhail joined residents calling for answers from the province.
They might not have gotten it right by supporting evacuees when they were displaced from their communities. They might not have gotten it right when it came to providing the resources to the front lines of these fire lines and support communities where they're at, but they have an opportunity to get this right and make sure that the people behind me have a very clear plan from a provincial government on how they're going to be supported as they rebuild their community.
Premier Scott Moe says this fire season has been one of the most challenging in recent years and that his government will review to see how they can improve the response to wildfires.
We are starting to have discussions about how do we learn from this year and other years as well, and how do we compare with other jurisdictions and share best practices on both the wildfire response as well as the evacuation response.
Meanwhile, locals know they'll need to lean on neighbors to get through the loss of homes, memories, and fortunes.
We still got Creighton, we still got Flin Flon, and the Flin Flon Bombers. So we got hockey to look forward to, and so, you know, not all is lost, but a lot of it has been.
John Flatters, CTV News, Denare Beach.
Environment Canada is looking into two unconfirmed tornadoes following storms that rolled through the province yesterday. The most significant storm was in the Maidstone and Lashburn areas. People reporting a funnel cloud passed through the area. Golf ball-sized hail also reported along the Yellowhead Highway. Other areas of the province saw dime-sized hail. Closer to Saskatoon, these images were taken of a funnel cloud swirling near the city. In both cases, Environment Canada says it's looking to confirm if, in fact, the two funnel clouds were tornadoes and is examining video, images, and radar to determine exactly what the storms produced. Meanwhile, Environment and Climate Change Canada and Northern Tornadoes Project have confirmed that 8 tornadoes touched down in Saskatchewan last Thursday. 3 touched down in southeastern Saskatchewan, 2 just east of Regina, 1 near the Muskowhegan First Nation, 1 in the Manitou Lake area, and 1 near Hubbard. There was damage reported in several farmyards, along with snapped trees, power poles, and displaced oil tanks. Well, Jeff, it's definitely that time of year.
It really is. It's severe weather season, and it's not surprising when we get this daytime heating and the clash of different air masses, and this is what we're dealing with on an ongoing basis, and that's certainly what's impacting us right now. We're keeping our eye on the satellite and radar shots here. These areas that you see in yellow, those are extreme thunderstorm watches. The areas in red are the warnings. The warnings are up around north of Prince Albert, so Prince Albert National Park, so Waskesiu Lake, Anglin Lake, Paddockwood, those areas, and down south, down around Ceylon and Bengoff, those areas are now under a severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll keep our eyes on those situations and get you updated later on.
3 first-degree murder charges have been stayed in a Saskatoon homicide case. 24-year-old Melissa Duquette was found dead in a home in the 3200 block of 33rd Street West in April of 2024. Kendall Amich, Sundas Okamesom, and Kevin Keenach were charged with first-degree murder. Now those charges have been stayed. The Ministry of Justice isn't saying why, only that there must be a reasonable likelihood of conviction to proceed. Under a stay, the Crown has up to a year to bring the charges back if new evidence comes to light. We're learning more about what prompted 3 political officials and a social worker to intervene in the case of a Bangladeshi woman who police say was trafficked to work in 3 small-town Saskatchewan restaurants. Mohammed Massam and Sohail Haider are on trial accused of human trafficking. Massam is also facing charges of sexual assault. Earlier today, Sask Party MLA Doug Steele testified he was concerned about the woman's employment situation. He said he and former Sask Party MLA Hugh Nerleen secretly put her in touch with immigration settlement worker Jody Armstrong, who took the stand this afternoon. Armstrong said that she heard a number of red flags in the woman's story, including that the conditions of work were not what she agreed to. Armstrong testified the woman described physical and verbal abuse at work and at home in Tisdale, where she was living with Massam. Armstrong testified the woman's immigration documents were being held by the employer. She said the woman was reluctant to involve police for fear of being deported. The defense counsel will get a chance to question the witness when the trial resumes tomorrow. Re-elected members of Metis Nation Saskatchewan's provincial Métis Council were turned away from a swearing-in ceremony this week. The representatives were suspended from duty in a move some citizens are calling undemocratic. Jasmine Pelche reports.
Corruption is screaming as loud as it can.
Members of Metis Nation Saskatchewan are calling for answers from leadership over the suspension of 2 regional directors. Re-elected provincial Métis Council members Sherry McLennan and Wendy Gervais were denied entry to the swearing-in ceremony earlier this week. A statement from Metis Nation Saskatchewan says the council members had violated respectful workplace policy and questioned CEO Richard Kintel's Métis heritage on a public forum last November.
This came after an investigation we maintain was procedurally flawed and conducted without our participation.
The 2 representatives were told to apologize to Kintel before they could resume their duties.
And to have something like this done to our delegate is absolutely wrong, and we're going to stand behind her.
No reason for our representatives not to be at that table. If they were voted in, that is called democracy.
What type of precedent we're setting? How are we respecting processes? And what do these legislations and constitutions mean if we don't follow them?
We're here to fight. We're here to fight for them to have their seats.
McLennan and Gervais say this course of action by Métis Nation Saskatchewan does not line up with its constitution.
The Machip way is about coming to the table. It's about having those good debates, having those discussions, because that's how we grow. It's not about coming to the table and everybody putting their hand up in agreement, even though they're not in agreement to what's going on.
CTV News reached out to Métis Nation Saskatchewan, but involved parties were unavailable for interview. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
The city is moving ahead with rules to try and curb the use of bear spray. City councillors approved a series of changes to the way bear spray is sold at its council meeting yesterday. Under the new rules, bear spray cannot be sold to anyone under 18. Businesses will have to see 2 pieces of ID before selling bear spray, and they'll have to keep track of the information for 2 years. These records must be compiled and made available to the city in case police request access to them. Reports of bear spray have nearly doubled in the last 3 years. Data from Saskatoon Police shows more youth are using bear spray, with a 500% rise in offences reported in that same period. The bylaw will get final approval next month. The city is also looking to hold drivers who damage city infrastructure more accountable financially. A bylaw introduced at City Hall yesterday is looking to add a penalty. Administration says taking drivers who slam into light posts and bridges to court is too costly and time-consuming. The city says since 2021, bridges and overpasses have been struck 22 times. Repair costs have ranged anywhere from $30,000 to $600,000. Saskatoon Light and Power has had more than 100 1,100 damaged infrastructure the last 2 years to the tune of nearly $700,000. The city says just over half the costs have been recovered through letters in court. The city is looking at creating $10,000 fines for individual drivers and $25,000 fines for corporations. The Saskatchewan NDP is calling on the province to scrap what it calls costly used vehicle inspections for out-of-province purchases. The opposition wants the provincial government to eliminate SGI's mandatory inspections for used vehicles not bought in this province, calling it outdated, expensive, and unnecessary as an obstacle to interprovincial trade. Under current rules, SGI requires most used vehicles bought outside of Saskatchewan to undergo a mechanical inspection before they can be registered in the province. Used vehicles purchased in Saskatchewan don't face the same requirement.
If a vehicle is insured and deemed roadworthy in another province, that should be enough to get it on the road here. It makes no sense that a driver who finds a great deal on a vehicle should face extra costs and red tape just to bring it home.
SGI says every province requires mechanical safety inspections prior to first-time registration, including vehicles imported from another province. And if Saskatchewan became the only one to eliminate it, it could result in the province becoming the entry point for unsafe or stolen vehicles to be registered. A Regina woman is not backing down from her hunger strike. She is refusing to eat until the city of Regina agrees to search the local landfill where she believes the remains of her daughter are located. Damian Smith brings us an update.
It's now been 10 days since Michelle Bear began her hunger strike and started camping on the outskirts of Regina's landfill.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I want to bring my baby home.
It's part of her fight to find the remains of her daughter, Rochelle Bear, who was murdered in 2013 by serial killer Clayton Eichler. And each day she performs a sacred fast of a liquid diet, living off of water and soup broth to garner the attention of Regina Police Service to conduct a search of the landfill for Rochelle's remains. And it's difficult, but she's trying to stay positive.
Well, what keeps me going is the fact that, one day I'm going to bring my daughter home to her sacred burial ground. Until they start digging, it's just words, right? So, like I said, I'm here until they start digging.
Michelle's actions are gaining traction around the city, with more horns honking passing by after seeing this sign at the corner of McDonald and Fleet Street.
People from just the city coming out and talking to me, and a lot of people telling me that they believe that their loved one is out here as well.
It's an incredibly devastating situation for her and her family and what's happened. But ultimately, the city is really taking the direction from RPS, and so that would be who can comment further on it for sure.
The Regina Police Service says it's been working with Michelle, but needs to have evidence that would confirm the location of Rochelle's remains. Officers are also checking in twice a day in the morning and evening to ensure her safety. And Michelle says that she will be there for the foreseeable future up until shovels are dug into the ground, and in the meantime is looking to get a permit from the city to bring in her own teepee. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
The Co-op Refinery Complex in Regina is celebrating its 90th anniversary. Jacob Carr has more on the growth the company has seen during generations of doing business in Western Canada.
Hundreds of workers, past and present, crowded into a makeshift tent outside the Co-op Refinery Complex, celebrating the 90th anniversary of the company, recognizing the hard work of all employees.
This day is filled with pride, tons of pride. We talk about fueling Western Canada, and it's more than just, like we said, it's the fuel, but it's also like what it means to communities, what it means to local co-ops. It's just there's so much pride in the room today, and really about the people and coming together.
The refinery complex distributes up to 17 million liters of fuel a day to co-op gas bars and cardlocks throughout Western Canada, which Regina Mayor Chad Baczynski says is something to be proud of.
Well, I think it's a massive impact, and to be honest, I think what we need to do is celebrate that more. I think we're way too humble about the fact that we are supplying that much fuel and the impact that we have, and I think we got to be a little less humble about it.
Other dignitaries in attendance lauded the refinery complex for being a value-added aspect of the oil-producing economy in in the province, among other things.
But actually providing the fuel for all the other industries, to grow and prosper. Agriculture, transportation industry, the mining industry, us as families and parents, taking our kids to wherever they need to go.
The company was founded in 1935 by 8 farmers who wanted to produce their own oil. Fast forward to 2025, and the refinery can produce up to 130,000 barrels of crude oil a day, something that requires a lot of hands on deck.
There's over 1,000 people that work at the refinery here in Regina, and then there's another number, hundreds of people that support from other areas. So we do have offices across Western Canada, but the majority, a lot of our team members are in Saskatoon and in Regina.
90 years of fueling Western Canada, as Federated Cooperatives Limited would say, and they are looking forward to 90 more. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
A property that was once home to a local credit union branch has been sold. The St. Mary's branch on 20th Street closed last year over safety concerns and what it called operational challenges. Today, Affinity Credit Union announced it has sold the building to the Saskatoon Community Clinic Foundation. The Saskatoon Community Clinic already operates across the street, offering healthcare services. The foundation will take possession of the property July 17th. School is out for the summer in Saskatoon. Some happy kids leaving class today for the last time this school year. Elementary students in both public and Catholic schools wrapped things up today, with high school students finishing earlier this week. School resumes after the September long weekend. Still to come, a growing concern for Canadian seniors. And what's next for interprovincial trade in this country. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. In Ottawa, the Senate has passed the Liberals' major projects legislation. Bill C-5 gives the government the power to fast-track projects deemed to boost the national economy by sidestepping environmental protections and other legislation. It was approved in the upper chamber today without amendments, but a handful of senators tried to persuade their colleagues to include language about respecting Indigenous rights. Several Indigenous leaders wanted the bill's passage slow to give their communities more time to suggest changes and review the legislation with lawyers. The law will come into effect when it is signed by the Governor General. The White House says there are no talks scheduled between the U.S. and Iran. That coming one day after the U.S. president said the two countries would talk and meet next week. It also comes as the Pentagon is doubling down on its claims that the U.S. mission on Iran was successful. Earlier reports suggested that key components of Iran's nuclear program were damaged but not destroyed, and that Iran may have moved some of its highly enriched uranium from attack sites before they were targeted. But U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth blasted the media, accusing reporters of failing to acknowledge, quote, historic moments. Meanwhile, many Palestinians in Gaza are still desperately trying to escape the conflict, including students with full scholarships to Canadian universities. But visa delays are preventing them from studying here. Heather Wright explains.
Twisted metal and debris. This is what it looks like in Gaza City after an Israeli airstrike this morning. It's near where 19-year-old Tawfiq Abed lives in a small room with nearly a dozen other people.
I'm displaced. My house is in dangerous area.
Abed dreams of being an engineer and has been offered a full scholarship to the University of Alberta. Trouble is, he's applied for a student visa but has received no response from the Canadian government.
I'm sorry to lose such an opportunity, especially that is Canada. That's my dream. That's what I'm looking for is coming through.
Abed is not the only one. According to a group of Canadian professors, there are roughly 70 Palestinian students stuck waiting. They are urging the government to move more quickly to help these students come here to study.
Germany's able to do it. France has been able to do it. They provided safe passage for students. They've expedited visas. It is punitive, and there's no reason why we can't do the same in Canada.
Part of the challenge for the students still in Gaza is providing biometrics, such as fingerprints and a photo. But others say they submitted their completed applications over a year ago and have heard nothing.
We're not asking for them to skip the line. We're not asking for shortcuts. We're just asking for these students to be treated fairly so that they can come to Canada and study here in the great research programs that we have here.
CTV News has reached out to the Ministry of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship multiple times. They have not yet responded to our questions about why it is taking so long to process these applications. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A new survey out today says more older Canadians are having a hard time finding a family doctor compared to other countries. Finding same-day or next-day appointments is also a growing challenge. Scott Hurst reports.
Canada's healthcare system is under significant strain, in part due to an aging population, and getting access to primary care is increasingly more difficult.
I'm like a lot of people that my family has a history of cancer in my situation, but there are people that I know that have family histories of other conditions you should be concerned about, and you don't have a chance to get a checkup.
Canada is falling behind some international partners. About 8% of Canadians 65 and up don't have access to a primary care provider. That's about 600,000 people, meaning more seniors are going without care compared to those in the US, UK, France, and Germany, to name a few. The report published by the Canadian Institute for Health Information also notes older Canadians are struggling to access mental health care when they need it.
Mental health care is really important for older adults. We found in our survey in 2024 that 1 in 4 older adults reported feeling isolated at least some of the time.
The report also shows timely access to primary care has been getting worse. Only about a quarter of seniors who have access to care can even get an appointment the same day or next. That number was much higher than in a previous survey less than a decade ago. Now, improving access is not an easy fix. Canada's population is rapidly aging and people are living longer. According to Stats Canada, seniors made up less than 1/5 of the population in 2023. By 2030, that number will swell to nearly a quarter. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Saskatchewan's Hilberg and Burke is becoming the official jeweler of the Canadian Olympic Committee. The 4-year partnership means the company will be a partner with Team Canada through the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Games and the 2028 Summer Games in LA. The deal will see the Regina-based company provide a custom ring for all Canadian Olympians for both games. It will also be allowed to sell special Team Canada editions of its jewelry. A full Team Canada line is set for release in December ahead of the Winter Olympics. Little bling never hurts, eh?
Exactly. It would certainly sharpen up some of the I say costumes, but I guess the uniforms we've had in the past. So
there you go.
The recent past. Some of them have been fantastic, but not the bacon ones.
Well, little bling. That's coming. I don't know if your forecast has bling, maybe a few flashes here and there.
Definitely some flashes are anticipated, but the good news is, I'm going to bring it up right now, the severe weather warning that was down in the Bengoff and Ceylon area, that has been lifted, but still up around Anglin Lakes, Waskesiu, Prince Albert National Park, that one is still in place. But then, of course, a huge chunk of Saskatchewan is under a severe thunderstorm watch at the moment, so certainly the chances for some blingy lightning is there. It's 27 degrees in Saskatoon right now, a bit of a wind out of the southwest at 20. We do have some showers and thunderstorms in the Prince Albert area, winds from the south-southwest at 11, and it's mainly cloudy in the Battleford. It's 25 degrees, not particularly windy. Saskatoon's almanac for today, a high of 27 degrees, so 3 degrees above seasonal, but 10 degrees below the record temperature set in 1988. That was 37. The record cold temperature, a tie between 1902 and 1951, and the temperature was 2 degrees, and the sun is going to go down at 9:32.
Coming up, a little Lego artist heads to the world stage. Meet the girl looking to win big for Canada.
All right, well, we'll take a look outside of our live lens, through our live lens outside our studio, and as you can see, just a few fluffy clouds out there. Not particularly ominous. I know yesterday a different sort of story at this time of day, but let's take a look at our satellite and radar shot here. And as you can see, we still have a lot of active weather across, well, it extends from the Idaho, not quite in the Panhandle, but through Montana into Saskatchewan and across most of Western Canada, impacting a little bit of Manitoba right now. More to come from Manitoba as the evening wears on, but that's what's going on there. Just going to bring up this once it clicks. There we go. There we go. Want to pay the bill on these batteries, I guess. 27 degrees in Saskatoon, 26 with thunderstorms in the Prince Albert area, and 25 in the Battlefords, the hot spot in the province. Coronach, that was 30 degrees today. Meadow Lake, the cold spot. We're not too cold. 10 degrees, not so bad. Around the province we go. The larger communities starting things off. 23 degrees in Lloydminster and Yorkton, 26 in Moose Jaw and Swift Current, 20 in Regina, and 24 in Estevan. Closer look at central Saskatchewan. Well, Waskesiu, 18 degrees. Spiritwood, 18 degrees. They're dealing with some rain in the area right now, but it does warm up to 27 right here in Toontown, but a number of other communities in and around that 24-degree mark. Making our way up north, well, temperatures are all in the low to mid-20s here, and as we make our way into southern Saskatchewan, as you can see, 21 degrees in Coronach, and Broadview gets up to 26 in a couple of places, including Maple Creek and Outlook, 24 right now in Carlisle, and in East End, 23 in Melville. On to our futurecast. Well, the computer modeling indicated that, yes, the situation or the pattern continues. Things will calm down in the overnight as things cool off a little bit, but as things warm up tomorrow, by the time we get into the early to mid-afternoon, yes, we are looking at some pop-up showers and the potential for thunderstorms. So right now, the area where the severe thunderstorm warning has shrunk again. So that's basically looks to be around the Anglin Lake area. I don't think it includes Waskesiu anymore. As we can see, though, the watch boxes are still in play for a large portion of Saskatchewan. So tomorrow, a chance of showers and thunderstorms for Stony Rapids. Otherwise, we're looking at cloudy skies in the Ronge, mainly sunny in Buffalo Narrows and Key Lake. Temperatures in the sort of in and around that 25 or 26 degree mark. A similar temperature pattern for the west central part of the province, with mainly cloudy skies, cloudy conditions, and a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the Kindersley area. Again, not varying too much temperature-wise here. Mainly cloudy or cloudy skies in the southwest, temperatures of 25 or 26 degrees. Slightly warmer in the southeast, a chance of showers in the Yorkton area with a risk of a thunderstorm. And then a much more unsettled pattern for east central Saskatchewan. Temperatures hovering around 26 degrees, but a chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm throughout the region. For the Prince Albert or the Battlefords, 60% chance of showers, a risk of a thunderstorm. The wind's backing off. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy skies, not much of a wind, 25 for a high. Saturday, a good chance of showers, risk of a thunderstorm, 19 degrees, bouncing back to a fairly pleasant Sunday and Monday, and things are looking good for Canada Day as well. For Prince Albert, the overnight temperature expected to be 12 degrees, a slight chance of showers with a risk of a thunderstorm. Mainly cloudy skies tomorrow, a high of 27, but cooling off for Saturday and Sunday. Right now, a possibility of showers exists and a risk of a thunderstorm both days. Monday, mainly sunny and 26, and Canada Day, mainly cloudy, but 27 degrees. Saskatoon's overnight temperature, 11 degrees, a 30% chance of showers, a risk of a thunderstorm. That slightly changes into tomorrow, but the pattern is still there. 26 degrees for a high. 22 on Saturday, still a chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm. Warming up by Monday to 27 and 28 for Canada Day with mainly cloudy skies.
Fiesta in the making as we speak.
I thought it was cute.
Oh, you thought it was cute? Then. Do you realize when he graduated, we were like 3 years old?
The Broadway Theatre is hosting a Schools Out screening of 1993's Dazed and Confused. That's Friday at 7 o'clock.
Doctor, give it to me straight. I thought you were the doctor.
Friday evening, the improv comedy of Who's Live Anyway returns to TCU Place. Back Alley Antics, a presentation of free flow dance, is a traveling show featuring dance, music, and spoken word. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Meet at Victoria School Stage on Broadway at 6:45, and the walking tour starts at 7. Canadian Coldwater Revival brings its tribute to Creedence Clearwater Revival and the music of John Fogerty to the Capitol Music Club on Saturday. Soulmates are live on stage at Amigos Saturday night. You have until Sunday to take in Legally Blonde, the musical, at the Ramey Arts Centre. For tickets, visit the Saskatoon Summer Players website. Hollow Oaks will be cranking out the tunes Saturday night at the Green Room. Also on the bill, Go Bois and Landfall. The Sasktel Saskatchewan Jazz Festival gets underway Thursday, July 3rd. For full details, check out the festival website. Friday, July 4th, a number of acts will join the North Sound at the Broadway Theatre for Hearts for the North, a Northern Fire Relief concert.
All right, Jeff, there's an upcoming event featuring music for the mind.
That's right, and it's kind of aimed at older guys. Well, a little music courtesy Reverend Mark Kleiner here at Christchurch Anglican. And we're getting ready for a musical event coming up on Sunday. It's called Shed Stock. What's the title refer to?
It's a support gig for our men's shed.
What's a men's shed?
Well, a men's shed is a place where men come together and they can do stuff. We can do stuff like woodworking or something cool. We can do projects for the wider community. We can also just connect over coffee and stuff. So it's supported by the church, but it's not directly affiliated with the church. So it's open to all.
It's open to all. So is this concert. So tell us what kind of music, what kind of tunes are we going to be hearing on Sunday?
Well, I have a wonderful group with me called Vintage Youth. Dear friends Stephanie Sidia, Ian McWalter, and the 6W, Who, What, Where, When, Why, Warachowski, Perry Warachowski, blowing a bit of mouth harp. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and the men from the men's shed are coming down to make waffles and serve waffles and ice cream, and there's going to be homemade samosas too at break.
Beautiful. Now, in terms of music, I understand, because people may not know that you were quite the rock and roller out in Vancouver for a number of years before you returned to Saskatoon. Will it be rock and roll music? Because you've got some new tunes you're playing.
Yeah, well, it's compositions I've written over the years, a lot of newer stuff. And the last time I did a showcase of my original music in Saskatoon was in the early 2000s at the Wash and Slosh. Okay. So you don't have to get drunk and do your laundry to come to this one. So.
All right, fair enough then. Admission is by donation. What time do things get underway?
7 bells. That's Sunday night.
Okay, 7 o'clock Sunday night, exactly. And don't bring your laundry. Thanks so much, Rev.
You bet. Thanks for having me, JR.
Yeah, I'll just interrupt. These men's sheds are across Canada, and they're just a way for older guys to connect and maybe talk about things they don't talk to other people about. So
that's
kind of interesting.
Absolutely. All right, speaking of interesting, pick of the day.
Yeah, we're going to stick with the weather theme because we've had some of these pictures, a lot of pictures sent to us, by the way, and so we want to thank you. This comes to us from Jason Hoagie Hogan, and he simply tells us this is a storm rolling into Rostern yesterday at 5:30, and then it wasn't so much after that one, but this was another part of the storm. This is the south side of Redberry Lake looking east. Lynn Swiston tells us that yesterday around 4:30 it started with hail and 0.8 of an inch of rain in our yard. I heard of 2 inches of rain just a few miles away. So yeah, you can certainly see the water pooling there, but a double rainbow. You can barely see the other rainbow, but yes, there was a double rainbow there. So thank you, Lynn, for sharing that after the storm image. And this is sort of pre-Canada Day festivities. This comes to us from Deb Young. This picture was taken on Tuesday. Deb tells us Waskesiu Ladies Golf Club celebrating Canada Day. Golf followed by our traditional strawberry shortcake of the 19th hole. We can't play as a group on Canada Day because most of us volunteer for other community events on that day, like pancake breakfast, the parade, and the beer garden. So I'm glad they got together. I'm glad they shared this photo, and I hope the golf was good. It looks like they were having a good time. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. Please put pick of the day in the subject line. And if you're taking those pictures of the phone, put it on its side.
Still to come on CTV News, we look at how farmers are faring in the field as July approaches. But up next, a Canadian Lego prodigy takes her skills to the world stage. A 9-year-old girl from Toronto is getting ready to compete on the international stage with Lego. She's attempting to become the first ever global mini master model builder. CTV's Jessica Smith has the story.
It's kind of called an Easter egg in Lego language.
9-year-old Olivia Tremblay from Toronto is a mini master model builder, and she's ready to represent in a global Lego competition.
Nola announced that we're having a competition. Whoever wins gets to be my mini master model builder, and I really and who gets to compete in the global competition. And I'm like, I want to do that.
Tremblay competed against over 60 kids from the GTA to win the local title. Now her sights are set on the first ever global title.
I needed to represent Toronto, and I like baseball, so I thought of the Blue Jays.
There are 28 discovery centers around the world. There's a bunch in the States, a few more overseas, but there's about 28 mini builders now, all working on a model based on the area they live in.
Into building since she was a year old, she says the best part is seeing her visions come to life.
My favorite part of this whole process is that I get to build everything by myself, and I can also learn new techniques from Noel.
The next stage of the competition will see her Toronto-inspired display shipped to Legoland headquarters in Denmark.
Her model is going to be the first time that a kid's model has ever been at the Lego house, so that alone is a very, very cool title to have.
Keeping her cool by focusing on the fun.
Just have fun. Make sure, don't think about it's a really big competition. It's basically just a competition of play. You just gotta build, build, build.
Olivia's Toronto-themed display will be here at Legoland at Vaughan Mills until mid-July. To follow along with her journey to the global title, you can visit Legoland Discovery Center, North America on Instagram. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
When we come back, a closer look at what's leading to the Riders' early season success. And a lost bear causes a few headaches.
All right, let's take a look at tomorrow. Tomorrow. Well, do you love you tomorrow? I don't know. Depends on what you want in your day, but we've got ourselves some mixed conditions, temperatures in the mid to high 20s, and some of those places with the warmer temperatures will be dealing with showers and thunderstorms, but even places that are just seasonal. Look at that, Kindersley still expecting a chance of a shower and a risk of a thunderstorm. Now, we're not expecting downpours in terms of big deluges that are day long. These systems are moving through quite quickly. But I suppose depending on when you could get some localized showers that might be significant. It's tough to tell when it comes to thunderstorms. As we take a look at south central and southwestern Saskatchewan, fairly quiet tomorrow with the exception of Kenora, where we do anticipate a shower with the risk of a thunderstorm. Broadview and Carlisle both in it, 26 degrees. And we sort of anticipate the same sort of situation for Langenburg, so it's quite close to the Manitoba border there. So partly cloudy skies, 26 degrees, not much of a wind, so a pretty pleasant day shaping up in Langenburg. And Langenburg is one of the places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
The Riders were back at Mosaic Stadium for a closed practice today. The team confirming Trevor Harris was part after missing the previous 2. According to the team's injury report, the quarterback is dealing with a head injury and an illness. Despite being at practice today, head coach Corey Mace still indicating it's not certain Harris will play in Saturday's game against BC. On the defensive side of the ball, a committee of defenders has been all over opposing quarterbacks, pushing the Riders to the league lead in sacks. Donovan Mace has more on what's leading to their success.
Need to finish after that explosive Myers 71-yard touchdown. This isn't going to help. They'll back themselves up.
An all-out attack has seen defenders in green and white sack more quarterbacks than nearly any other team in the CFL.
Well, just as a unit, just our mindset, determination to get in there, relentless in our rushes, and rushing together.
Through 3 games, the Roughriders already have 10 quarterback sacks, tied atop the league with Montreal, and 3 better than next best Toronto. And not only is the team getting to the backfield often,
Twin pocket collapses, balls on the ground.
they're getting contributions from up and down the lineup, with 7 different players notching at least 1 sack.
The deepest D-line in the league. I think a lot of it comes down to that, man. Everybody could get a bucket, but we call it getting buckets. So just got a bunch of dogs together. So it'll be interesting to see how it continue to pan out for the year.
But this week, the challenge for the defensive line may be its toughest yet.
Takes a look again, down the field again, and who else? It's
The visiting Lions have surrendered just 2 quarterback sacks so far this season.
It's not who we play against. It's more so us. We know what we got. We know what we're going to do.
Similar to Saskatchewan, the Lions are dealing with their own quarterback troubles as Nathan Rourke remains questionable for Saturday with a core injury, which kept him sidelined last week. But the Riders say their preparation isn't changing.
You know, Rourke, he has a little mobility. He likes to jump around a little bit in that pocket, but continue to just create pressure and to get him off his spot.
You kind of prepare for whatever situation, but, you know, similar to our situation is whoever they're going to have back there, for the most part, has been in the league for a while and has a lot of tape out there. So, you know, we got to prepare for both.
Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
2 Saskatchewan Roughriders have been fined for incidents in the last week's game in Toronto. Receiver Del Duncan Busby has been fined for this illegal chop block on Kenneth George that injured the Argos defensive back. Micah Johnson also fined for a high hit on Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle. Argos lineman Jordan Williams was also fined for his high hit on Trevor Harris. Significant rain in some areas of the province has increased topsoil moisture for producers. This week's crop report shows cropland topsoil moisture is now 80% surplus or adequate. Hayland topsoil moisture is lower at 69% and pasture topsoil moisture is 60%. But heavy rainfall resulted in some flooding with 1% of seeded crop unlikely to produce as a result. There are some areas that received little to no moisture, which will significantly impact yields. Other crops were damaged by hail, frost, and pests such as gophers and flea beetles. On average, Canadians made about $1,300 a week in April. Morella Fernandez has more.
Wages outpaced inflation in April, moving up 4.4% year over year, while inflation rose by 1.7%. But some sectors did even better. Wages were up over 10% on average for those working in information and cultural industries. Those in real estate also had earnings grow close to 10%. Canadians with jobs in mining and oil and gas extraction saw wages go up about 5%, but they already make the most of any recorded sector. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up, ending the day at 73.34. West Texas Intermediate is up to 65.24. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it up as well to 53.24. And the TSX is up 185 points today to 26,751. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon currently just over $1.34 a litre. The lowest price in town, $1.22.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco jumped $3.50 today. Nutrien finishing the day at $79.20. Coming up, not your usual issue at an airport. And a Canadian literally gives his home a facelift.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV starting at 7 with CMA Fest.
Lots of honky-tonkin'.
There you go. All right. Well, something unexpected caused disruptions at an airport in Japan earlier today. A black bear was spotted running on the tarmac at the Yamagata airport this morning. Staff used a car to chase it away and set traps to try and capture the animal. The bear forced officials to temporarily shut down the runway, canceling about a dozen flights and delaying others. Still no word if they managed to catch the bear. I don't know if there's any compensation for that. It's not weather-related, right?
That's true enough. Yeah, exactly. You know, we need yakety sax playing behind that particular voiceover.
All right, well, a Fredericton artist has quite literally given his home a facelift.
I wanted to make a really powerful work about a lot of people in my life presently and in the past, and I just jazzed up their characteristics.
Brian McKinnon calls his public art display All Words Start With Love. It features nearly 250 faces of people that he has met in his life, ranging from close friends to someone he saw take the bus one day. Since it's literally on his house, he calls it a private public display and invites people to take a closer look.
Very interesting.
It's an interesting concept.
Now, this guy's last name is McKinnon? Okay, I just want to. I think the famous cartoonist out there was Bruce McKinnon. I think. Any probably
Your relation.
Anyways, hey, let's take a look at this. Is it famous? Well, it might be infamous. The severe thunderstorm warnings have shifted around a little. Now DeChambeau Lake, Pelican Narrows, Cumberland House, along with Candle Lake, Paddock Wood, St. Louis, and Canistano. So Prince Albert just in between these warnings right now.
All right, stay safe out there. Keep an eye to the sky. Thanks for watching.
Bye now. Bye.